Good morning! Welcome back to Jack's Coffee Break. Today we are going to be doing another tutorial, and we are going to be focusing on the viewing domes. So as I record this, they're still a relatively new feature. They're not the newest, but they're pretty modern as far as the different updates go. The viewing domes offer a lot of functionality that we previously didn't have for Planet Zoo. Usually if you wanted to have a habitat where guests wandered into a habitat to go look, you either needed to build platforms above the habitat or you needed to have an animal that allows guests to walk amongst them. The viewing domes allow you to basically create scenarios where your guests can be inside of the habitat safely, even when amongst dangerous animals. So today, we are going to be back in Highwater Pass. This is the first zoo that we ever did for the channel. It was the largest project we've ever done so far. And I really didn't think that we would be coming back to it at all. It is really hefty on my computer, and it is chugging. So if you see the frame rates dropping here, that is my computer. We're going to do our best, and we're going to keep this in pause, because otherwise this is going to be a nightmare. So, since we are over here in our beaver habitat, this seems like the perfect place to go ahead and look at how to use these viewing domes. The good news is that they're a very simple mechanic. So let's go ahead and get back into our UI real quick. So in order to make a viewing dome function, you need essentially two pieces. The first one is going to be found in your Barriers tab, and this is the viewing dome entrance. It's a rather large piece, and it's a little bit finicky trying to place it, I've noticed. Again, because of the fact that it's so large, and this habitat really was not built with these in mind. It was built long before this was a functionality we had in the game. We're going to have to find a good place to put it. And this is kind of our best spot right here. So if we wanted to, we can come into our... No, not that. We can go ahead and clean these up and basically make it look like, you can actually get in here. So this piece, since we have it out, before we get to the domes themselves, let's go ahead and acknowledge some things about this. First off, it is FlexiColor. So if you don't like this concrete and you want it to be, say, a brown to fit with the rest of the area, you can absolutely do that. This interior wall right here can also be changed. So let's say that I wanted it a bright blue. We could have that. If we wanted it black, we can have that too. So the last one that we have is this trim color here along the edges. So again, if we wanted that bright blue, we could do that. Quite frankly, I like this kind of gray look. It tells you the cleanliness of the domes. So you are periodically going to need your caretaker to come through and sweep them up, because apparently guests will just drop their trash in here. Lovely to know. As usual, you can change how frequently they visit these. So if guests are just absolutely filthy, you can have them clean it every month. For my zoo, since we don't let guests in here because otherwise my computer will die, we could put it on never. So, all kinds of different options through there. Of course, you have the call a caretaker in terms of emergencies. This second tab here is the dome network. This allows you to place the dome objects that you need, but you can also do this manually. And you can do any of these in any kind of order. You can place the domes first and then the gate, or you can add the gate and then add the domes. Lastly, the overview just tells you what species are in the habitat, cleanliness, and of course the caretaker, and any recent thoughts your guests have. So let's go ahead and start getting down the domes. If we hit place dome, it will automatically filter to it. It's right here in your facilities. You can either search for it or you can have this little filter tab. I'm not sure which of these sections it's in. Probably guest facilities if I had to bet. You can just search it up. So guest domes are meant to be used in one of two ways, on land and underwater. So let's talk about on land domes first. We're going to put one right over here. And these appear to have some kind of requirement as far as their angles go. So this angle right here works, so we're going to place it, and it will deform the terrain once you place it down. As far as the options available go, you have angle snap, of course your widget speed, position snap, random rotation, and then whether or not you can view the barriers. This is also FlexiColor. So if I want the insides to be kind of this blue kind of color, this appears to be for the outside. Ah, it's doing it to the one that I'm holding. That would be why. Let's adjust this one real quick. So if I want the inside to be blue, I can do that. If I want this outside concrete color to be kind of this brown, we could make that work. And then there is a trim, and that's this bit out here. So if I wanted it to be kind of a sandier color to blend in with my terrain, I could have it be right around there. Maybe shift it up to yellow. So now it blends in really nicely. This object is rather large, and it's got a full 3D structure underneath it. If we look down into it, we can see that there's sort of this plinth. This appears to be either where the guests pop up or where they stand. Something is going on there. There's a space around it, and then it goes into this sort of void back there. This is how the guests actually teleport into it. So there's no secret network, there's no building tunnels, there's no pathing. They just teleport from A to B, which is very convenient. So you can also place them all the way up here if you wanted to, just have them sort of floating around. I'm sure that that's something that somebody will figure out how to do something cool with. For my part, I don't know what you would do with this feature. Maybe you would have a dome that sort of sticks out of the side of the hill. Depending on the terrain settings that you use, you can also undo the sculpting that it does as well. So you really can just have this sort of sticking out over the edge if you wanted to. So, different options that you have available to you. But let's talk about getting these underwater, because this is the part that I think is probably tripping people up the most. You need to do this in a specific order. So, as much as we want to just go ahead and place our viewing dome down, somewhere in the water now that everything's placed and the beavers are swimming about, that's unfortunately not how these are designed to work. Instead, you need to do a specific order of operations. So let's go ahead and remove our water. And this is going to reset our beavers all the way back up into the entrance, mess with our gravity objects, and we're going to put this back on pause before they try and do anything ridiculous. Now we can come in and we can add our viewing domes. So I want one under there, and just to show you, I will now add back in my water. Why are you obstructing? So as we try and get the water back in here, you'll notice that we have this little notification. Obstructed. Water must cover viewing domes. So this means that you cannot have your viewing domes be partially submerged. It's very important that they either be completely above ground or they be completely underwater. You cannot do halfway, unfortunately. Now, as for why this habitat is saying obstructed, that I'm not entirely sure of, and I suspect it's probably this barrier. Let me go ahead and fix this real quick. Yes, that was the issue. We will be having an entire tutorial just about water and water mechanics coming up in the fairly near future, but we're not quite there yet. So let's go ahead and unpause and let our beavers go ahead and resume their daily lives. If we want to go ahead and view from these viewing domes as the guests would see them, when we click on these, they have a singular tab and it will tell you how clean they are. Again, if these get particularly dirty, you go over to the entrance and you tell the caretaker from the entrance. We have this button right here, Select Dome Entrance. If this is closed, it means that something has gone wrong with placing your dome entrance, so that's something that you'll need to fix. Or if you are placing the domes first, you can click this to add the entrance second. We can also go to Select Habitat. This will just select the beaver habitat. Lastly, let's go into Camera View. So now from here, we can look around from inside the dome. Now, why exactly we have this sort of grain filter over it, like we're looking through the burrow system, I'm not entirely sure. I suspect that this is probably an artifact. It clearly shouldn't be that this is a screen, but for some reason it's giving us the filter that it is a screen. This might be a developer oversight, this may be on purpose, I'm not entirely sure what's happening here. But, as you can see, I don't think it is possible to get any closer to our guests. I don't think it's possible for our guests to get any closer to the animals than they are right now, except for maybe standing in the habitat with them. Which, unfortunately, that's not very habit-forming for animals like lions and bears. So, now that they've had a little bit of time to settle back down, let's go ahead and escape. And let's go view our underwater viewing dome. So now we can see them swimming and diving. There's one going about right there. There's one just sort of floating. I hope he's okay and not dead. I genuinely have no idea what's going on with the animals in here, because I haven't played this map in literally months. So, on the other hand, it does give you a really cool view of the habitat. and you can see right here, we're sort of sitting on this platform. Here's one swimming by right now. So this gives you a lot of flexibility, but for my part, what I find interesting about this is that it encourages you to actually decorate underwater, which is really cool. For the most part, you know, the main reasons why we decorate underwater is because there's going to be some kind of like glass directly into a swimming space that you're going to view. But for something like a river, like we've got right now, for me it didn't make a lot of sense because it's more vegetation that takes up the requirement, so... But it's a very cool feature, and like I said, I'm excited to see what people are going to end up doing with these. I've already seen one video where somebody used these in order to create sort of a terrarium. That was very cool. And like I said, with the fact that you can suspend them above your habitat and potentially stick them onto walls, you can potentially get some really cool views. So the only thing is that they need to be... Oh, we're having some fighting over there. They do need to be attached to a habitat in order to function for the guests. And they do need to have that entrance over there. What is happening with our moose? Are they gonna live? Are y'all gonna be okay? Oh, you knocked over that thing. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, I hope this was a useful primer. Eventually, I'm sure that we will start implementing these into builds for the channel. One of the main ones that's going to come up is we're gonna start working on underwater habitats soon. How those work, how to, you know, add viewing domes into them, things like that. So that is coming down the pipeline. And then of course I'm sure that we're going to get a lot of use out of these for things like polar bears, elephants, lions. Big things that need a ton of space that guests really aren't allowed in. Well, now they're allowed. So I suspect that that'll also be a really awesome place that we're gonna see these. So anyway, that's me rambling on. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that this was useful. If you guys have made any other extra discoveries, or you want to make some corrections or some notes or anything like that, please drop me a comment. And then also, of course, if you have any requests for things that you would like to see me do on the channel, please let me know. Like I said, I've already got a backlog that I'm working through. We will get through them in as time permits. But it's not going to stop me from asking for requests. I always want to know what you guys want to see, because otherwise I'm just guessing. So, anyway, thank you very much, good luck, and have fun building.